Awesome. Good morning. Thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, so happy to be here, Alex.
Maybe just to start, Lizzie, do you mind just giving a little bit high-level overview of your background?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm the PM of the Workflows product here at Retool and also work on the Agents product across the platform. I've been here for a few years, and it's been really exciting to see both products grow.
Super cool.
Yeah.
Do you mind just kind of telling me a little bit about what both these products do?
Yeah, absolutely. So on the workflow side, Workflows is the automation layer of the Retool platform that we launched back a few years ago. And really what Workflows accomplishes for our customers is the ability to handle process automations, metrics and alerting, data integration, and many more use cases, all within a visual interface that obviates a lot of the infrastructure that is otherwise required in order to handle long-running jobs. And then this past year, we added on our Agents product, which allows customers to build, monitor, and deploy React-style agents within the Retool ecosystem.
Super cool. Super exciting. And how does Temporal tie into all this? So how did Retool first come upon Temporal, and what's it doing for these products at Retool?
Yeah, absolutely. So we initially started considering Temporal when we were first building out the Workflows product before agents were sort of even a thing either at Retool or outside of Retool. And initially, how the Workflows team was structured within Retool was sort of a startup within a startup. We really only had 2-3 people working on it at any given time. And so when we were thinking about how to set up the product, operational burden and getting to market fast were top order concerns for us. And so we started out by sort of rolling our own temporal queue with PGBoss and AWS Lambda. And ultimately, we just reached some scaling limits. For example, we could only run our workflows back then for 15 minutes. Now we can run them for up to weeks, of course, with Temporal. We had trouble sort of keeping connections live between all of our services, for example. And then just on the team side, the size of the team that we would need in order to build and scale our own orchestrator inside of Retool was just way larger than we were willing to invest for a new product. So that's when we started thinking about Temporal. We initially started by hosting our own Temporal cluster and then eventually migrated to Temporal Cloud. And we've been very happy customers ever since. And our customers, by extension, are also happy customers of Workflows.
We love that. Super cool.
Yeah.
With these initial use cases, like how the first use case within the Workflows team, like how did that kind of adoption journey go? So what did that look like for your team? It sounds like it's a small team. So what did that kind of uptake look like? And have others started using Temporal?
Yeah, absolutely. So within our team, initially, like I said, we started by having our own Temporal cluster. And so all of the customers that were initially live with Workflows were also utilizing this Temporal cluster that we were managing. Eventually, we reached a point where our team was growing, but we really didn't want every single team member to be so directly focused on the orchestration piece of our platform. Instead, we wanted to focus on the parts of our product that were actual differentiators. So block types, for example, integrations, our ability to handle retry policies, which is something that Temporal allows us to do really well, without having to be in the nitty-gritty of the orchestration layer all the time. And so at that point, we decided to move over to Temporal Cloud, which of course is something that you were involved in as well. And what that allowed us to is to have access to the Temporal UI dashboard, which we utilized in order to monitor traffic and activity and any problem runs that we need to cancel for customers. And since then, across Retool's platform, because Workflows sort of sits at the base of Retool's platform and handles not only all these product experiences and agents and workflows, but also a bunch of platform experiences across Retool, we ended up adopting Temporal for some other stuff too, to help us get to market faster with other products. So some quick examples that come to mind. We utilize Temporal to handle some of the activities around spinning up and spinning down Retool databases with a third-party provider for our customers, which was sort of a new product offering for our platform 2 years ago. And we also handle some cloud ops with Temporal as well. So it's just been a really nice tool in our toolbox for when we want to get to live fast without having to think about all this sort of undifferentiated work of orchestrating and retry policies and state management, and just like the list goes on.
Yeah. Super cool. Well, it sounds like the impact has been broad and wide, which is awesome. How did that all translate to Retool's decision to then launch a new product around agents? As we all know, like everything agentic is the hot button topic right now. So what did that kind of look like, and what kind of effect has that had in launching this product over the last few months?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when we initially decided to build agents, the first thought for us was like, how fast can we get this thing to market? And so we looked at what we had built already with workflows, which is this incredibly durable backend execution platform that has been in the market for years and thousands of customers utilize in order to automate work. And then we thought about sort of our customers' new goals, so automating work utilizing either agentic steps or systems. And we realized that we had many of the requirements already with workflows. And so when we looked to build agents, there was like no doubt in our mind that we were going to utilize our existing work with workflows in the background in order to orchestrate agents. And so what that looks like is in the background, how our agents work is really sort of a workflow in disguise that is optimized for agentic use cases. So that looping, that is what makes an agent an agent, and routing to tools. So maybe to map a little bit to temporal concepts, I think it helps understand just to walk through sort of the life cycle of a workflow. And then we can talk a little bit about what that means for agents. So for workflows, how a workflow usually works is it starts with a trigger. So either it's triggered from a Retool app or a webhook or a Kafka queue or elsewhere. And from there, our backend enqueues that workflow in Temporal. And Temporal, of course, handles all of the task management and encoding that as activities, for example, all of our block types. From there, our workflows worker pulls that temporal worker in order to understand the jobs left to be done, and then allocates that work out either to our code executor or our backend in order to complete the work. And then from there, we do some post-processing, of course, to write the workflow status into our database and so on. But what Temporal handles for us, which of course is what Temporal handles for many of its customers, is ensuring that we can retry any failed steps. We sort of know what work is left in a workflow, and it makes our processes incredibly durable. And so when we think about sort of transitioning that architecture over to agents, a lot of those same concepts apply. So agents are essentially optimized workflows that add on that additional layer that allows LLMs to reason and route to tools. And so what's happening is in the background, we have a workflow that contains, for example, 2 steps. One is that trigger that I mentioned, and another one is this specialized agent block that we added into our architecture that handles all of the reasoning from any model that our customers want. And then from there, on the agent runtime, we have our parser and a router to route to tools, and then route back into that LLM loop, and so on until the LLM, of course, decides that to respond to a user or that we're actually done. So sort of the moral of the story in adapting workflows to agents is, we really wanted to launch this thing in a short order of months. I remember you visited me in the office, and we had a big countdown. And so it was a pretty quick timeline, and utilizing the work that we already had with workflows and Temporal was really what made it possible for us to ship so fast. And it's just been great seeing our customers start to adopt agents and make real use cases. I think that's sort of what any PM really wants, is to get a product into customers' hands as soon as possible to start getting feedback. Without Temporal and without the baseline that we've created with workflows over the last few years, that cycle would have taken us way longer, at which point, the goalpost in this space is just shifting. And so getting something out in the market as soon as possible was just such a huge benefit, and just a motivator for my team as well to see customers use it.
It's super cool. Kind of based on like what you all have done so far, it sounds like Temporal has become kind of this, less kind of secret weapon in the toolbox to get to market faster, to get things into customers' hands. What's next for the agent projects or for the agent product? So what do you think the next 6 months look like in regard to agents?
What's nice about now having this product out to market so fast is that we have so much great customer feedback to contend with. So I think maybe at a high level, we have some work cut out for us in order to join the experiences of workflows and agents. I think an open question in the market that many of our customers are trying to figure out is my job to be done best solved by deterministic steps, non-determinism, or a combination of both? And so I think what's really exciting right now, and something that the agents PM and I are actively working on, is how do we provide the correct form factor for people to combine both modalities of building? And so what that means more concretely is thinking about the way that you build a workflow and bringing the UX of building an agent much closer together in our platform. So that's sort of our high level thinking for the next few months. But more concretely, we're constantly working on making improvements to our platform, whether that's better support for source control, as well as a lot of the platform guarantees that we have across Retool, and it's what makes Retool so valuable that you don't have to build those things yourself, as well as improving evals and data sets and staying on top of the ball with agent-to-agent protocol. The list goes on and on.
Yeah, super cool. Yeah, it sounds like there are many things that you mentioned. It's like Temporal and Retool crossover, which is like, how do we get you out of doing this undifferentiated work and delivering value back to your customers, whether those be internal, external, or anyone kind of across the board. And it sounds like agents takes that to the next level, which is super cool.
Totally. Yeah, I know we've talked about sort of the value prop of Retool and the value prop of Temporal being sort of really in sync, because we're also obviating undifferentiated work for our users too, and then having you on board allows us to bring that to the next level. Yeah, super cool.
Just out of curiosity, and maybe, I don't know if you can answer this question or not, but if your engineering teams didn't have Temporal, what would building agents have looked like given the time frame or the time constraints that were placed upon from kickoff to launch?
Yeah, I think two things would have happened. Either we probably would have missed the deadline.
Yeah.
We would have had to hire up a big team like during a launch season, which is hard. We were able to rely on my engineers, especially Kathy and Roberto, who I know you've worked with as well, our engineers' expertise on Temporal in order to get this out. Or we would have just launched sort of a less robust product with fewer features because we wouldn't have to rely on the same guarantees that we have with Temporal. What's really nice is out the gate, right? We are able to handle a robust agents platform that can allow you to run agents as tools, can allow you to run workflows as tools, promotes the use of backend functions and Retool as tools, MCP, all of it. And that just gives us such a broader foundation to work on with our customers and a broader foundation for them to give us feedback on, so the iteration cycle is just way faster. Without Temporal, we would have to hire up. We would have to launch a V-1 instead of a V0 of agents, or it just would have taken us longer.
Yeah, super cool. No, it's exciting to hear kind of what the unlock has been with Temporal, kind of across the product suite. If you had to, do you have a number in mind, or like, could you put a number on like, this has helped performance or get us to market this much faster? Is there anything that's kind of top of mind, or maybe you guys don't track that here at Retool?
I think what's hard to track about that is that we didn't even consider another solution. It was just so top of mind for us that Temporal was going to be the way that we built this, that there's almost nothing to benchmark against, because we knew immediately what we were going to build and how. And I think that's sort of a blessing in disguise. We can't do this sort of like really neat ROI comparison of what we would have done or what we did, but I think the results speak for themselves, which is that we were able to sort of get this product out in a matter of months and support a really robust experience out the gate with a really small team. There's really only 10 engineers behind workflows. And so building 2 products that support thousands of customers with 10 engineers, it just wouldn't have been possible. Yeah.
Totally. You said something interesting that I want to dig in there a little bit more on, which is around scale. So obviously it sounds like Retool Workflows has been tremendously successful. What kind of scale do you all operate on? And then how does reliability kind of like play into the picture of the services that you guys are offering to your end customers?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, we have thousands of customers who are depending on workflows every single day for automating processes that otherwise would mean manual work for their teams. And so for those thousands of organizations, we're seeing millions of workflow runs a day, even from a single organization. So when we think about supporting that type of volume with, like I mentioned, such a small team, we just need those reliability guarantees, because that's what our customers are coming to us for. They need to be able to depend on us in order to obscure the complexity of that infrastructure. Otherwise, our value prop is massively undermined. So in terms of scale, we are able to serve thousands of customers, millions of workflow runs with a very, very small team. And those team members are able to specialize on things that actually matter to our customers and to our roadmap and to me as a PM, which just allows us to build a better product. And then create this cool flywheel of more features, better products, more volume, and we can just scale it.
I love that. That flywheel is so impactful at the end of the day, because once it gets going, and it sounds like the flywheel is spinning fast at Retool, then you can iterate on product, deliver value to customers, and at the end of the day, it just makes, work so much more fun.
Totally. Yeah. For me, it's way more fun to work on the feature work and the shape of our product rather than, going back and forth with my engineers about orchestration architecture.
Yeah.
I'll leave that to you guys.
Yeah, what we can or can't do. It's now like, let's just go build.
Exactly.
I love that. So with all of that in mind, what advice would you give to other product or engineering organizations when adopting Temporal, or even thinking about how they're going to build their agentic products?
Yeah, totally. I think that especially now there's a big push to sort of roll your own in basically every way that you can, because the bar has been lowered a ton for generating code and creating really, really quick improvements in your platforms with the help of Cursor, Cloud Code, or whatever your engineering organization is using. I think what I'd say is just not to underestimate the complexity of systems like this, and also the complexity of maintaining systems like this. There are some things that you just want to take as a given when you're building a product, and this is just one of them. I think that for us, right, as a company that has existed in this automation market for a really long time, it's beholden on us to sort of disrupt ourselves. And with Temporal, that disruption is so much easier to do because we're working with the same primitives that we worked on when we launched our first product years ago. So I think my advice to product engineering teams is to sort of not underestimate the complexity. Think really deeply about the things that you want to be a given about your product out the gate, and really think about the long tail of the things that you're going to have to maintain in order for that to be true. Because I think that long tail is just really not worth rolling your own, regardless of how fast you're able to get it up. That's usually not the complex part of building and maintaining products. The complex part is the maintenance. And then, think about how that applies to how you're going to have to continue to disrupt yourself in this market as the products evolve. Yeah. I'd imagine, we're going to ship changes really, really fast in the next 6 months in order to evolve to the adapting AI scene. And I would hate to be making those decisions in an environment in which I'm stuck with an architecture that we rolled ourselves, and rather depend on architecture that I know is just going to work. Yeah.
I think that ties into my next question, which is, without revealing the roadmap, what does the future hold? So what is next for agents and for Retool? What's on the horizon?
Yeah, for sure. So maybe I'll talk about the high level, what I'm thinking, and then we can talk about a little bit about more specifics of what's on the agents roadmap. But at a high level, right, so within Retool, we've had automation offerings for a really long time. Workflows has been out for years, and like I mentioned, we have thousands of customers already automating work that way. I think what is a really cool challenge for my team now is to think about, with the existing building blocks that we have, workflows, agents, resource queries, integrations, what is the best form factor for our customers to most effectively build, monitor, and deploy agents and agentic systems to production? I think what's so cool about utilizing Temporal in all of this is that we can be really flexible in how these systems work together in their interfaces, such that as the shape of software that customers want to build evolves, we can meet them exactly where they're going and anticipate their needs. And so for me, what I'm really focused on is thinking about our platform, which was initially created, right, to handle these long-running, durable processes before AI agents, burst onto the scene. And now combining that in terms of form factor, UX, monitoring, and all the things that matter to our customers, combining agents with workflows in order to create this really powerful sequence of building blocks, all orchestrated by Temporal.
Awesome. My last question is, if you had to describe Retool as a song, what would that one song be?
Oh my God, you told me that you were going to say this, and then I didn't think about a song at all. Man. We're gonna have to talk again. I'm not sure.
Okay, we can come back to that one. Well, thanks so much for taking the time, Lizzie, and excited for us to continue to build together.
Yeah, agreed. Awesome. Thanks, Alex.